We're going through an amazingly transitional time period, and I don't mean just this year. 2020 to 2024, you will see some massive changes. Now, some of you will struggle and suffer with it, and others will go into a place of abundance, peace, love, giving, and transform their lives. Is that you? It starts with recognizing anything that you're carrying with you that may represent guilt or what we call karma. That's something you bring forward, and you can release that now. I want to talk about that today. It's time to release it. I'm going to show you how. Let's do it together. Let's go. Welcome to Landria Onkka on YouTube, here to help you break through the fears and live an amazing life. Do you have a fear somewhere that you've done something really horrible and that you can be punished for it? Do you punish yourself constantly over it? Oh, so many people write me and I get the same thing over. Somebody did this to me. Somebody does that to me. Let's talk about you. What have you done to somebody else? Because this is the exchange of the planet. That is our teachings. These are the pathways to teachings. In other words, when we go into that space of darkness, we learn about ourselves, what we're capable of, and what that contrast is. In other words, it doesn't feel right, it doesn't feel good. So therefore, we know this and we carry that forward, especially if we've damaged another person or we feel that we have. I want to just share a couple things with you today to help you relieve any guilt or stress you're carrying about that. Anything that has happened in your past. Somebody may even done something to you and you feel guilty about it because maybe you felt that you participated in some way, even though you are the supposed victim. There aren't any. There are no coincidences, no chaos in the universe. God doesn't make mistakes or roll the dice. All of this is intentional. All of this is part of what you chose to rise above, to conquer, and realize we cannot know the light unless we know what darkness is. You can't begin to describe the darkness to somebody who's never seen it, right? It's impossible. You have to experience it, and that's what being human is. You're experiencing things here that as your light being self, the one, this amazing energy field of perfection that you are, can't possibly envision or imagine, and no one can describe it to us until we experience it. And therefore we have to forget our greatness, our light, and our abilities to really control everything, because we must go into that space of massive contrast in order to truly know it. That means letting go. And then what happens? We recognize this is not who and what we are. And this is when awakening can happen for so many people. And then others will carry these negative feelings forward, and that's called karma. All right? So negative deeds, bad deeds, and then your next lifetime and next and next. Well, that's over with now because we're all transforming. Things are accelerated. So you do not have to carry any negative energy or punishment forward to anything. You can clear it up right now. You're ready to do that? How does it start? First of all, I want you to recognize that there are no mistakes. This is the toughest thing for anybody. In fact, every time I shoot a video, there's always somebody who says, what about this and what about this? And the bottom line is, yeah, it's going on everywhere in every form, and it's low density behavior and exploration and its contrast. Yep, I know it's there. I'm not ignoring that. I'm telling you it's created by us. When I said there was no evil, my point was I didn't say things weren't going on out there or that it was being used. I'm telling you that it is a choice. Therefore, it's created. We never have to go in there. Evil is real because we create it. Now, if you're thinking guilt or bad or I've done something wrong, you're creating that for yourself. And when you go into that negative energy space, you can become ill, anxiety. You can actually self-sabotage some amazing things in your life because you feel like you're going to really actually punish yourself. It's not necessary. Let's start with number 1. You are unconditionally loved. This is stated, if you're Christian, over and over in the Bible, and you don't have to be a Christian to know this. There's only light and love. The rest is our choice to explore. So when I say something's not real, I'm telling you, it's only real because you chose it to experience it. It is not who and what you are. All right, so that's number 1. You are unconditionally loved because everything is go, explore, experience, know it, and learn from it. So that's not punishment. Whatever you did is not going to be punishment. It's for you to know what that dark side is, or what the ego is and what it's capable of, and why this planet has been in peril for so long. When you go there, you realize you're no different from every other human out here who's crossed that line. So that's when you go watch my video on forgiveness, because it doesn't matter if it's murder or cheating on somebody. Dishonesty is what we know is not our light shining, and that it can be harmful or damage somebody else's ego. But it never really damages their light. And through whatever you've done, they will also learn. Now, that's not to let you off the hook, because number 2 is, often when we've done stuff in the past, we go and we create a story of why we did it. Now, I'm going to share with you that everybody who's ever done anything to you definitely had a history, a story that took them into a dark space. They didn't come up with that on their own. There was always a history of energy or experiences that maybe an abuser usually has been abused. Now, not to excuse that, but the point is that I want you to remember that there's a history there too with anybody who's ever striking out at other people. This is what we're trying to clear up. This is why forgiveness is so huge. Now, what if you've done something? Well, I just want you to remember one thing, that no matter what the reason is, or what you're thinking, or somebody did something to you so it was okay to do that to whatever, we must throw that out the window and take 100% responsibility. This will free you. And say, I own it. There's no excuses. Let's say you're in a loveless relationship and you go out and you cheat. Well, that's an excuse, for you to do that. Well, my wife or my husband was not, loving me or taking care of me, so I went and got it someplace else because I really needed that, and I was putting... No, you have to own it. You cheated. Okay. All right, let's own that. Now, can you just forgive yourself and say, regardless of the reasons, I made a decision to do something. And so it could be any number of things. Did you steal anything? Did you lie? Are you mistreating somebody at home? So many of you are frustrated. You're taking it out on your loved ones. It's not a nice space to be. And it affects everyone. Can you take responsibility and not have a story behind it that says, this is why I'm doing it, and here's my excuse. It's not okay, but here's my excuse and reasons. I want you to look straight at what you're doing, own it, and make a decision to change. Now, if it's something you did in the past, own it and say, I did something that took me into a space that helped me to understand what I do not ever want to be again. And if you can just make amends in any of those situations, of course, you can do that. Maybe you can call somebody else and say, I'm sorry how I treated you. I just wanted to let you know that. I don't need your forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that I recognize and take full responsibility for that. Now, if it's just you, do it for yourself. And know that you're unconditionally loved, and this is why we go through these situations, so that you can recognize that you're okay, you're still loved, And you should give that to yourself and own it and know, I did do something hurtful. Okay, all right, I will learn from this. When somebody does something to you, it's the opposite, right? You're not here to chastise somebody else and have them own it. That's theirs to explore. And when they go into that space, just like you will today, hopefully, then it dissipates, right? It dissipates. So that negative energy between the two parties or whatever happened starts to dissipate, because the unconditional love will start with you, and then it's theirs also. And then all of a sudden you recognize that it doesn't exist right now. It was an experience, and that this present moment is what counts. Because you are not the same person right now that you were when you did certain things. Can you forgive yourself? Because if you don't, you are not going in the steps of the one that has never had to forgive you, because the one doesn't recognize that you did anything wrong in the first place. The one is experiencing everything it can be and the triumphs that occur here on planet Earth. So, can you start with the unconditional love for yourself and for the other? Even if you have bad feelings toward another person or situation and you did something that was not so, let's just say, high frequency. You can look at that situation, own it, and say it's never an excuse to go into that space. So this is what happens with other human beings. Because we are exposed to this out here, and we believe it and we get so caught up in it, we then have a choice to go into a lower frequency because we're blaming that. I'm in a bad mood, I'm fearful, there's frequencies out there, so I'm going to go into this space. No, you are 100% in control of your feelings and your choices, no matter what happens out there. But what about, no buts on my channel. So can you do this? Because when you recognize you're unconditionally loved and you were never had, there's forgiveness isn't even, when you're in an awakened state, isn't even part of the equation. Right? Why? Because you recognize we're here exploring some really, really cray-cray stuff. And through it, there is an evolution, an experience, contrast. So this is why it's tough for people when I say there's nothing neither good nor bad. There are just low frequency experiences that bring great pain to us as human beings. We can choose to be the solution and the unconditional love and peace in that situation and tap into that which we are, because that's what we are. Or we can choose to remain as lower density frequencies, striking back and reacting to it in an equally negative way. So take a look and ask yourself if there's anything you need to forgive yourself for, and say, really don't need to forgive it. I was acting as a low density human in that moment, and now I know this is what's going on out there. So for me to blame or point fingers at anybody else would be hypocritical, right? To say, oh, they're doing that, when we have all gone into that space ourselves. But you can choose to not go there again. You can choose in every situation to not see somebody negatively or to react in a way that is, as I just said, as dense as they are. Arguing back and you think you're right, they think they're equally right. That's the human dilemma. We're going into 4 years of transforming out of that really repetitive behavior that has kept us in a low density place, low frequency place. We continue to look at others as the solution. Those we put in power, we look at them for, blame or salvation, when you are always functioning as an individual expression of one collective. Let us unite as a collective. Let us forgive one another for being human. What the incident was is irrelevant. What the argument is irrelevant. It's how I'm reacting to it that counts. And what I do with it afterwards. Forgive yourself. You are not alone. There is no human on the face of the planet who's ever escaped that space of low density behavior or thinking or beliefs. Christ got angry. We all have a human element in us that we're never going to escape until we leave these bodies and go off into something else, and we'll recognize just how heavy this is and how amazing you are to have chosen to come here and take this on. So every choice counts, starting with allowing yourself to recognize what that was, release it. Know that you are not alone. Every human being has a story. And then when we release it and forgive each other for the human experience, we realize, wait a minute, we don't have to forgive. That's what we came here for. And we're all playing roles with one another. There are no victims. There's entanglement and choices all along the way. And we're going to make higher choices now from this day forward. Nothing controls you out there. We act like we are controlled masses. We are not. The industries, everything changes when you make choices not to pollute, not to eat things that are unhealthy for you, not to take chemicals. We control that. What are you doing? Lend a hand to your community and your neighbors. Your karma will clear up in this lifetime because you've already been forgiven. You're always unconditionally loved. You have to do it first. And that's part of the karma, is releasing that. You, because you are the energy, the light of the one. You're whole and perfect, strong and powerful. Please subscribe. Please click the bell so you get notified of my email, my videos. Go down in the description, sign up for my free Manifest Anything list. So I'll say it again, you're whole, perfect, strong, powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. Blessings to you, my friend. Go have your coffee. Namaste.